This is a Podco original.
Didn't think that was going to be on the Pretty Little Podcast today.
Damn, were we supposed to laugh during this episode? Let's
I was
laugh.
like, make me laugh.
Yeah. We banged in the trailer.
Did you really?
Yeah, we did.
Bad murderers and homicidal
men.
The dig bodies in the graveyards.
I was A at one point. Remember I shot that extra
Will you
in the black
actually,
hoodie?
how often do people actually accept the blame of murder for like a child?
That kind of thing actually does occur.
Welcome!
We made 12 episodes at least.
We've made
we
12
at least got
episodes.
there.
This is the 12th one. You realize we're not...
I'm very worried that there will be something that you will cancel.
That I will get us canceled for.
Yeah.
You know what? That's actually pretty accurate given my track record.
Yeah.
Did you know that when I got 5150'd, my voting privileges were revoked?
I don't know what 5150 is.
5150 is you get taken away for a three doinks in a row.
Three doinks.
No, for a 3-day
doink.
mandatory. Like,
to go to jail?
No, it's like a medical facility, like a mental evaluation. You get on a 3-day
Right.
psychiatric hold, 3-day psychiatric
Oh, my
hold.
Lord. Would you have rather that than jail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Because you have a little bit of
But
freedom.
I probably
Do they
would have
lock
been
you in your
scared
room?
straight the first time. I did 2 5150s in 6 months. That was great.
Who put you in there?
Well, first the hospital after I tried to
Yeah.
OD on Xanax.
Yeah.
And then the police after I got into a scuffle on the side of the road. But the thing that saved me was I called out to God, like, you wretch, why am I still here? And they were like, that is an admission of wanting to kill yourself, suicide. So we're going to take you to this place, but we're going to drug you so hard that you'll be asleep for a day and a half.
No.
And then we'll release you, even though you're testing positive for methamphetamine still. It's a great way to just like really like.
Do you remember any of
teach
that
you a
time?
lesson.
Do you remember any of it?
I remember it because it was so intense. Like
Yeah.
it was wild. It was really wild.
What are they
But
like what are the other people like there? Do you like...
All right. Well, I do remember this one. So first of all, you can get Ativan there whenever. I'm feeling anxious. Give me some Ativan.
Right.
It's like a less intense.
Can you abuse
Xanax.
it? No. They won't give you as much as you
They won't
would
give
like.
you as much, but I'd never taken Ativan. So I was just
It's
like,
the same thing, isn't it?
it affected me differently. So literally, I was in there like,
I am Frank Sinatra.
But I do remember like getting into a real conversation with this guy, and then like it just turned.
Yeah.
Like the whole story turned into some sort of like an alien type of thing. Like it just didn't happen.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I realized I'd been talking to this person,
Yeah.
putting in a good time. They weren't there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, oh my gosh. But is everything that you see in the movies and the TV show kind of similar?
The common room, the group therapy all the time, you can have your privileges revoked to come on floor if you don't show up to this meeting or if you choose to stay in bed or this, that, or other. You have to,
How was the food?
eat. I mean, it was some food. I hadn't been eating because
Yeah.
I did all the Adderall super skinny, then got to the Xanax. But like they would let you go out and have a smoke break. The food was okay.
Did your family know you were there?
My chosen family did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
did they want you to stay?
Yeah. Because I was so scared once I got in there. Like
Right.
it scared me so bad that I was like, I will do anything to get out of here because you can't leave. When I got there, I got up and I literally was like, where the fuck am I? And I walked out the front doors. Orderlies brought me back in. You can't leave.
But it was at
What?
least 3 days.
Right.
It wasn't
but you
like
can
3
stay
weeks.
longer.
Did you want to?
No, they have the right to say you have to stay for longer.
And they didn't.
And they didn't.
They were like, you're fine to go.
Exactly.
Did you think that was a bad decision?
Yes, because
Yeah.
I was lying to them. I was telling them I have an entire care plan in place, and I didn't. I picked up that day that I got out of there. You know? Like, yeah. So those holds really don't do much. You really might as well be in a drunk take, just come and become sober from whatever.
Right.
Do
Do they cost money?
No.
They're free.
Yeah.
So taxpayers pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then I go to vote and I'm not registered. Like it's not like they take you off the thing. So I guess like I had to
Right. Because you can't vote.
Yeah.
But you could buy a gun.
Right.
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 An AR-15.
And I'm gonna make you let me vote.
But you can't vote.
Exactly.
God bless America.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
And these doctors are just like, here's some Ativan, and then bye.
Oof.
Like, it's so weird. It's still such a system in there. There were
Right.
people who were suffering with different things like eating disorders and yada, yada, yada. So it was just like a
But you
gambit
couldn't
of
vote.
stuff.
But can you vote now?
Yes. You're
You
really
know?
going to make...
Do you feel scared talking about politics?
I do, because I don't trust myself with how heated I become about my
Same.
own beliefs.
Same.
I will be the first one to say I'm definitely a hothead, where I do think like what I've read and what I know is better than what I'm being told from 90% of
Right.
constituents.
So you're a hothead, and so you're
Yeah.
afraid of not being able to
Hear somebody out in the way that I
Right.
should.
You know what? My husband and I, he plays devil's advocate a lot, and it makes me so fucking frustrated that I blow up. And so he doesn't like to talk politics with me. He and I have the same belief system when it comes to politics, the same moral compass, but I don't like to hear another person's point of view until recently, where you cannot change a person's opinion if you don't listen to their fears. You can't. You can't just say you're wrong, I'm right, and this is why. You need to say, why do you feel that way? What are you afraid of? Where is that coming from? Because a lot of people who voted a certain way years ago was because of the fear of feeling like they needed something more. They felt invisible. So they attached themselves to the lowest common, to the narrative that was being told that they were going to be better off. You know, and not everyone has access to the same education and the same, you know, conversations that you have with your friends who know about politics. So I used to be like that. I used to be like, it's my way or the highway, but you just don't get anywhere
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't. And I've hated the person I am after I reflect from those moments. Like, I've said some things that I'm super not like totally proud of with the whole Gaza situation. And I've lashed out at people that I've already made amends to, you know? And I see them saying a caption on Instagram that like, I judge as not the right way to go about it, or you're not sincere, or you're not seeing the full picture. And I regret it. Like, I deeply regret it, because it's not just something you yell about. It's something deeply personal to each of us. And you're right, those fears, like me screaming at you because your belief was created out of your external circumstances. I mean, that's not valid.
And your trauma.
You know what I mean? And
And
my outrage is not more important than your feelings.
Right.
Like this feeling of mine, this, you know, and it's like, what are you really going towards at the end of the day? It's not for resolution. It's not for anything. It's just to yell.
Right.
You know? And it's like, that is really why we got, like, when you boil down to it, that sort of like just defaulting to hate or defaulting to what you know as being right is exactly how this whole situation started.
Yeah, and you
know?
cannot change a person's opinion unless you listen to their fear.
Exactly. And nobody's ever been degraded and been like,
You're right.
I've changed my tune.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
You yelled at me, and
Yeah.
now I see clearly.
I'm embarrassed, so I feel differently.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you for making me feel ashamed.
shame is a real...
It's a real shift in people's perspective and morals.
Yeah. And since shame is something that I feel so affected by in my life, I think shame is a proper weapon to use against people, because to me, it's the worst thing that you can, like, I don't know. It's just this self-fulfilling kind of shame thing that I'm like, this is what your family does to you.
Right.
And now this is what you're doing to other people.
Right.
In a public setting.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, you're just people too on the internet and you're allowed to have feelings, but when you have access to the time and space that we're allowed in this industry, you don't have a right to react like that. You know what I mean? I'm allowed time and space and the time to like educate myself or learn or this or that or other. I don't, you know what I mean? And I if you're not, like, that's just kind of the opportunity and responsibility that I hold as somebody who can do that.
Yeah.
And so I have definitely just like absolutely let my lower self run rampage on there. I've had to delete a lot.
But you've also learned from it. I mean, not people, that it's a very incendiary situation that's happening right now. When it happened, and it's still happening, I was very loud, very vocal. I still am to some extent. But yeah, again, I don't know why we also can't say that I have children, every child is valued and important. Every single child, no matter where they're from, every single baby, 2-year-old, 5-year-old is important. And I don't know where in humanity we were like, well, that's not important. That every child is important. I don't give a fuck if anyone wants to fight me on that. Their value of life, no matter where, is important. And like when you say that, that's a problem too.
Yeah. And here's the problem. The people that I've seen speaking out about it, I judge them as having a life. I judge something about their life that their opinion isn't as valid. Like I judge something about what you have, your privilege, your this. You couldn't have understood this.
Judging and envy are actually very different. And they talk about envy as being something that you think that you should have and you don't, so you feel envious. And when you judge people, in a way, it's because you're judging your the past you. And listen, I've been a very judgy person a lot of my life until my husband actually said, like, you judge people. And I was like, ooh, fuck. I didn't actually, at the time, I was like, I fucking don't judge people.
Right.
Look at you. Right. Look at you and your blah, blah, blah. Like, I started judging him.
The people that I'm speaking out to are equally as outspoken on their side of it as I feel about my side of it. So it's me seeing me and being disgusted.
Yeah, exactly. Like judging is just being
judging
like,
the hell out of this whole feeling. And
I know.
like,
but again, we will never get anywhere until we listen. Just can't. And also change people's opinion through understanding them.
right.
You know?
Right.
Didn't think that was going to be on the Pretty Little podcast today.
Dang, were we supposed to laugh during this episode? Let's
I was
laugh.
like, make me laugh.
Yeah.
What is the funniest thing what is the shittiest moment that isn't drug related, just something dumb that you've done that you're just like, oh my gosh, that was so embarrassing?
That was so embarrassing. So, I got cast my first time as number 1 on the call sheet.
Oh my God.
Okay. 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes.
Kat Stratford was like, wow.
Loved that movie too.
So we're shooting the pilot, right? And I'm living by myself, right? And so I get home from the first day. I'm like elated. I'm on cloud 9. I'm in the first scene the next morning. That's great. Forget to set my alarm.
How old are you?
Young. 20.
Not young.
Not young.
No,
not okay. Forget to set my alarm.
No.
I wake up to 60
No.
missed calls.
No.
Fucking 60.
No.
I literally.
Because what time did you wake up?
Like 2 hours after.
And people don't
understand that when the light moves, you have everything
you
is
cannot
like.
be late to set. Like it's not like
They get mad if hair and makeup takes an extra 2 to 5 minutes.
You cannot be late. If anything, you have to be 15 minutes early.
Exactly. And so I get there and I get suited up for my thing, and I'll never forget Gil Younger, who directed the movie. He was a consultant and directing the first episode, and he goes, "This doesn't look good for the series." So mad. Carter, the creator, just like, yeah,
your first
what was
day.
that? Second day. Second day. I was so mortified. I was in a trance, like I only had one scene that day, and I literally remember just walking back to my trailer like this.
Oh, they make you feel so awful.
Oh my God.
I
I wrote everybody a handwritten note telling them how much it meant to me.
Because you thought you were going to be fired.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I told them I bought a new alarm clock with 50 settings. I promise you, it's there. I doubled my alarm clock from there on out. And this is before I had any intention of I was not in a dark space at all.
Yeah.
It was just gut wrenching. And
what happened? Did
they were really moved by the notes.
You were like
they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was very sincere.
Sometimes you have to say I fucked up.
I'm so sorry, and this will not happen again, and you can trust me with this baby and with this responsibility. But just to be considered somebody who did not care for it, in those 2 hours, what they were saying.
They were like, this girl, we shouldn't have banked on her.
Right, because Gil had actually at the last audition voted for the other girl. Wanted the other girl.
And you were only one episode in, so they could easily...
Not
easily,
even one day in.
Oh, so they could easily have changed.
Exactly.
Could have easily changed you.
Exactly.
And just reshot those scenes.
And I just was like...
Did you enjoy that show?
Oh, I loved it.
You loved it.
I loved it. I felt like I had earned that
Yeah.
number one spot, and I knew how much it like meant. I was crushed when it ended.
Yeah.
I loved those people. I had a entanglement with Ethan Peck for a while, which taught me a lot.
Did you make out with him?
We made out.
Do you see...
We banged in the trailer.
Did you really?
Yeah, we did.
Does anyone know that?
In his trailer. No,
not-
I don't think anybody knows that.
Well, they do now.
Yeah. His trailer.
How many times?
Don't worry, this will probably help his career.
How many times?
Only the once, but I was
Just
facing...
one. Why only once?
I don't know. I'm sure he like was nervous, or maybe it wasn't exactly the right thing. I'd actually gotten in trouble for that before, and it's not great getting all worked up and then like having to be camera ready.
Yeah.
But I remember it was one of those ones where it was like, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, you're looking in the mirror that's like behind the couch, and it's like, hey.
Do you still have the visuals of
yeah.
the sex because it was in the mirror?
Yes.
So you know.
And it was hot. Like, that was hot. Very hot. I
But then
actually
you never
broke
did
up
it
with my
again.
long-term boyfriend
Over him?
to see that out.
And then you only did it once.
No. Only once at work.
Okay, so you did it a few more times. Okay.
Yeah.
And why didn't it last?
We were so
you only like
not
trailer
okay.
sex.
I remember he looked at me once, and I was just like so desperate for his approval, right?
Yeah.
So he just looked at me once, and he literally said, you know, he was just always on that bubble of like breaking up, like ending it.
Yeah.
And was just like, you know, I've had a few more years on this earth than you.
Oh God.
So
no.
I can see these things
better.
differently. This is after this bitch fucking burns me a CD, puts it on like a metronome, so like all the fucking metro sounds,
Like
I
a
don't know,
mixtape.
some shit that somebody who went to NYU cares about, Tish.
Yeah.
Like, do. Oh, and do you hear how this sounds? No, dude. Nope. I just hear Phoenix. You know, the band Phoenix.
Yeah.
And so he broke into my parking garage, leaves this CD on my car door.
Was it a breakup CD or was it just like
during
I'm
the time.
into you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kept going hot, cold, hot, cold,
Yeah.
hot, cold. You have more years on this light and on this earth than me, dude. I remember we were having the relations once, and I was on top, and I was like doing, and it like came out or whatever. He got so mad at me
Why?
because apparently I wasn't
Into
doing it right.
Oh God.
Like, you know, when you're on top,
Yeah.
it gets like a little bouncy, and it's like,
It's a
oh, okay,
little
it bounced
bouncy.
out, great.
It bounced
It
out.
wasn't that was I'll never forget how he like put that on me and just like, and I'm just
He was
like,
probably so embarrassed, but yes, I know. He
like,
should not have put that on you.
dude, like, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is this what a man with extra experience on earth would do?
I didn't think we'd say bounced out today.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When it just like bounces. Have you had those?
How to bounce
Have
out?
you had sex mishaps
Have I
that
had
have
sex?
ended in
I
injury?
I was dating a guy and he was having sex with me and he said, your stretch marks are getting better while he was having sex with me. And I really don't have, I mean, maybe now I do post baby, but I really didn't at 21 have like stretch
I
marks.
want to hunt him down
I know.
right now.
He was
Who
awful.
the fuck does that? You know what? He was a future
awful.
like plastic surgeon or something who literally that's what was getting
he
him up,
was
like,
just
let
a
me study the body.
narcissist. He was such a narcissist. And then I remember I dated a very famous twin in LA back in the day. And I went over to his house and we ended up, you know, being together. And I remember looking at the wall and the wall said 3:05 a.m. And in that moment, my whole life flashed before my eyes. And I was just like, I need to make better choices. Like, what have I done with my life? And then I decided I was done with sort of dating guys. And I had a very small period of dating guys and not being in a relationship. And I met Sean when I was 22. He was the director of my first American film. Yeah. And when we were going through our garage to move from LA to Nashville, he found this sheet of paper which had like all the girls who were auditioning and he had circled my face and he wrote, "She's the one."
Oh no.
So if you don't believe in manifestation, he literally was like, "She's the one." And then we were on set for like 2 weeks, just doing some rehearsals. Like, you know, we don't get to do that these days. It was about 10 days of rehearsals. And then just before the day before we started shooting, he knocks on the door and I open the door and he's like, "I'm falling in love with you." Then I remember he finally kissed me and I had like an electric shock that went through my entire body and his finger was in the electric socket.
I thought that was a euphemism, then I thought that was a medical thing.
You're like, what? No, but I felt like euphoric and I was like, oh my God. And then the next day we were making out and I always tell this story like, I was like kissing him and I turned around and he walks out and he's got like no clothes on, but just a towel. And he's always like, it was a hand towel. It was a very small hand towel. And I was like, honey, it wasn't. It was a huge beach towel. He had a huge beach towel on. And then the rest is history. We've been inseparable ever since.
I love Sean. I can't wait to like see him again and be like, hey man.
How's it going?
How's it going?
How's it going? So
That's
should we
pretty cool.
recap episode 12?
Yeah. What the hell happened again?
Okay, episode 12, Salt Meets Wound.
Salt meets wound.
Salt meets wound. Hannah finds her mom's money.
Ooh, girl.
Would you tell your mom?
I'm not able to keep anything under wraps.
Yeah, so you would say something.
Right. What about you?
Yeah, I would probably say something and I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why do you have so much money in the closet, in the pantry? Mom isn't happy. Oh, yes. Mom isn't happy that Emily is dating Maya.
Mm-hmm. And she's pretty vocal about it.
Very vocal about it. Has a bit of a breakdown. Noel blackmails Ezra. Do you remember that?
Yeah?
Yeah, and asks for a better grade. And
Oh my gosh.
Spencer breaks up. He's like, I deserve an A.
Give me an A or I'll tell everybody you're a sexual predator.
Yeah. And he actually changes the D to the A on the actual paper in front of Mr. Fritz. He's like, this will be an A. And then I guess it's kind of like a little bit of a, a thing to A.
Right.
It's like a hidden message.
Right. That's actually really good.
Yeah.
That's real good.
So he changes it to A. But I just find like, it's just interesting that he would blackmail over that.
I want an A and that's it.
Yeah. What do you think about the relationship with Noel and Aria?
Noel and Aria, I like it.
Yeah.
I like anything that gets her away from that teacher. And I also just find it very strange how obsessive they have become with and about each other after sharing so little.
Yeah.
All they've shared is problems so far. They've
true.
shared no good times, Ezra and Aria. So, I like it. I think it's really cute.
Yeah. Except when everyone thinks that he's A.
Right. But then you're just like, well, Aria's into bad boys.
Bad murderers. Bad murderers and homicide.
Homicidal men.
Homicidal men. The dig bodies in the graveyards.
Was anybody free from being labeled A?
You labeled A?
I was A.
You were A?
I was A at one point. Remember I shot that extra
were you
in the black
actually
hoodie?
A? Oh, you, no.
I was possibly part of the
You were a
team.
red herring.
Right.
I was A.
For
a hot minute?
Yeah. Weren't you?
Wasn't Aria? I think Aria should have been A.
Yeah.
That's weird though. No, it probably wouldn't have made sense because she was there all the time that she was getting the text messages.
Right.
Maybe one of the parents.
They really were just screwed on how to end that well because
They really
had done
did not.
No. It's like,
I mean, a twin. I feel like that is sort of the easiest.
You should have just made Rosewood all in on it.
Like
the
just
whole
the people.
Town. Yeah.
Like Rosewood was A.
Yeah. And it was a town where you just fucked up just like 4 random girls in high school. You like picked them.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, Truman Show for these 4. That would have been funnier.
Oh, yeah. So everyone's watching Rosewood.
Right.
And then deciding to fuck with them.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right.
Or it was, you know what an easy one is? It's a dream.
Oh, amazing.
I would have been so pissed.
I would have been pissed, but I would have understood it.
I think at the end, what if Allison, it's like all her envision, like she's actually in an insane asylum.
That would have been really cool.
And
that would have been cool.
And they're like, you need to stop with all these lucid dreams.
And then like the caretakers are the girls in the insane asylum.
Yeah.
And then they're all just like looking back like Hannah's mom on the step that one time, like
I'm just gonna go have sex with this guy.
Hey, honey.
Hey.
Shh.
That would have been
prostitute myself for your sunglasses, baby. Yeah. It's like, wait.
For your products.
Ray, what are we trying to keep off our record? Like what why were they doing that?
Yeah, they were last season. Sunglasses. But here's the thing. I actually think that would have been a great ending. She's in an insane asylum on too many meds because she's whatever.
Yeah.
she hates the fact that she's not a popular girl.
Or she's the one that killed everybody. She kills everybody and wakes up in the same time and realizes.
So it was her.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Wouldn't that have been better?
Better.
Because like you brought her back to be alive, which is kind of just like bringing back somebody from the dead. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, she should always stay dead.
Right. Yeah.
And should we ask Joseph Scott Morgan?
Joseph Scott Morgan, what do you think, man?
What do you think about this episode? Thank you so much for being on the show. Again, I can't believe we're 3 months into this. Thank you, Joe Scott
Morgan,
for coming on the show. Again, forensic scientist, former death investigator.
You called him ScarJo at one point today.
I did. I called you Scarlett Johansson because it does ring off the tongue.
But Joe Scott, I mean, I don't know. You did him dirty with that ScarJo thing. ScarJo.
What can we call you?
ScarJo.
We can call him Joe
What
Scott.
can you-
He
wait.
told us that.
All right, I'll roll.
But we need another
I'll roll with
name. We need another name. JSM.
JSM.
Yeah.
Have you checked your JSM
can't-
today?
I can't settle on a handle, guys. I'm having trouble here. You know, I got so many
JSM.
people that throw these names at me.
Oh,
I
I love
know.
it.
You know,
What?
I'm just an everyday Joe. That's all I am.
You are so much more than that. Okay, we're just everyday people.
Yeah.
You are something special.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. It's great to be back with you, by the way. I'm digging this, man. This is a lot of fun. You know what I love about this and what I love about Pretty Little Liars and Pretty Little Liars, the podcast.
Oh yeah.
What I dig about this is that I deal with so much stuff that is the reality of the horror that we see around us. I love the fact that we can kind of get into this world and play around a little bit and try to understand things a little bit better. And I hope that people are learning, maybe learning something. I'm learning from you guys all the while.
I don't give
and
a
that's the beauty of this, and that's what makes this so fun. You don't have to. My God, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I can't. It's really hard for me to watch the evening news. I can't do it.
No.
I can't even watch it on my news feed. I get so sick and tired of it. I don't
But
know
then
about
why
you
can we
guys, but
watch shows
that's what
about
makes this
death
fun.
then? We can't watch the real news. I understand that. But then we can all watch shows about murder and death and crime because we don't think it's real, but it kind of is a reality for a lot of people. So why is that? Like, why can we suspend our disbelief?
Because I think our fear is what motivates us to watch those shows and not watch that show.
Yeah.
Kind of. It's
Or
that brush against whatever that doesn't feel quite like reality.
Or we get a little understanding of reality by watching fantasy,
Ooh.
you know, and not having to fully commit.
Right.
Right?
Hey guys, I don't want y'all to have to fully commit. Let people like me do that, or
Yeah.
people of my stripe. Live life, enjoy all of these wonderful things that we get to explore, and we can talk about the science of it, and we can understand it and that sort of thing. Because, dude, it's a sick world, and it's hard. Life is hard. You need to kind of free your mind a little bit, and that's the beauty of this space with this podcast. That's what I dig about this. I love it. I love the fact that we can talk about it. And hey, at the end of the day, this is what we know. We know that nobody in reality is actually going to die here, but we can talk about it and we can opine about it if you want to. So that's kind of cool.
What do we feel in episode 11 or 12 that we have to talk to him about?
Well, Lindsay, so glad you asked. There is a commonality of owned possessed items, the Hilton Head tag. So what does this reveal forensically and circumstantially?
Yeah, I found that kind of intriguing. Just simply the tag itself, Hilton Head, which I don't know if you guys have ever been to Hilton Head. Hilton Head's a pretty cool place. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. The commonality is this, and this is more circumstantial than it is actually forensic evidence. Forensics ties into it, but how do we go about putting two people from maybe different points and perspectives in life in a same place? How do they come to possess something that is that very unique? Because it could be a tag from anywhere. I mean, let's face it. You could, I don't know, maybe you could get a tag at some shop in Malibu, or you could get a tag if you went to Kennebunkport, or you get a tag if you went to Wilmington Beach in North Carolina or Miami. But no, we're talking about Hilton Head, right? And not everybody has been to Hilton Head. It's a very specific location. So you think about that, and as an investigator, I love the fact you guys used the term through line yesterday. That's kind of rung in my mind. Let me back up. That wasn't yesterday. Let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. I love the fact that you guys used the term through line in one of our previous episodes.
Yeah.
And, in investigations, we have through lines. Don't think of them that way, but we really do. And it's that sinew, that connective tissue when you're looking at a case. What are these commonalities that kind of attach or stitch people together in their lives and this experiences where they're crossing paths with one another? You begin to look at specific items that people purchase. And, when you have a tag, for instance, like this, you begin to think about, well, is this tag exactly the same? Or was it a seasonal tag? Was it a tag that was purchased maybe a year before or 2 years before? And I don't know, you can kind of expand that and think, well, maybe this person told the other person about Hilton Head. They said, you know what? I like your tag. I want to go to Hilton Head myself. I want to see what that's like. And by the way, I'm going to pick me up a tag while I'm there too. But what are the odds of that happening? And, a lot of the things that you think about from an investigative standpoint, we've previously talked about a hunch. What's your gut instinct? But is that a gut instinct? Or are you trying to prove something from a perspective of logic? What are the odds? The mathematical equation that goes into that. What are the odds that these two individuals would have an item like that? And that kind of attaches to a lot of stuff that we do in forensics when you think about any kind of item that is purchased. Here's a little interesting factoid. Can you guys tell me what organization has one of the largest collection of reference buttons for clothing? Can you tell me?
4-H.
Think about your buttons on your clothes, your jacket.
I really thought it was like, what? Wait, what is
Like,
it?
what button is the most?
No, what organization possesses the largest collection of reference buttons in the world?
The CIA.
Has to do with crime.
FBI.
The FBI lab. They also have a large collection of zippers. You imagine that?
Wow.
Because, you never know if you get like bits of clothing, or if you get like a random button that's just laying on the ground, they can actually take that button and they have a whole, if you can imagine this, it sounds so tedious to me, but they actually have a whole collection of buttons they can go through, and they can marry that thing up and say, okay, this is the point of origin for this button. It was manufactured in Hong Kong, and it was manufactured this year, and this is the materials that went into making it. And then you can kind of track it back to, well, what manufacturers actually use this button or a particular fabric or a type of zipper. So, you've got a lot of little intricacies that are involved with trying to track down items that people have purchased or that they own, they possess, that are unique to them, but in a broader scope, you think, well, there are probably a lot of these around the world, but what are the odds? What are the odds that two tags might end up in this small universe that we're talking about relative to Pretty Little Liars?
I mean, it's so crazy that you can kind of find out who did it by a button. Right?
I mean, that's I don't even know why anybody would try, but it's the crime of passion, as you've obviously said before too, that takes up a lot of this, but or that compulsion to do it. I mean, it sounds like a nightmare. Committing a homicide
is a nightmare.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Something that's really always interested me is when I read this book recently. What was it called? Flicker in the Dark. Highly recommend it. And for most of the book, you thought it was the dad who actually went to jail, but he actually ended up, we find out, spoiler alert, please don't listen to this part if you're reading the book, we find out that it was actually his son that he was covering for. How often does that happen? How often do people actually accept the blame of murder for like a child? I didn't believe it, but when I was like, oh, it's for his son, you can kind of see a parent sacrifice their life for their child.
Yeah, it actually, that kind of thing actually does occur I'm not going to say with great frequency, but it has occurred. And there are people that will do time on behalf of a family member. They'll take responsibility for it. And I think the shame of that is this. I think that it reflectively, it says a lot about the agency that's investigating the case, that you would take something at face value, a confession like that,
Right.
and that you dismiss anything else that might be connected with the case because, let's face it, you're lazy. You don't follow through with the investigation. You say, okay, well, this is closed. This is the end of it. We're going to move on from there. And then, unfortunately, we have many people that are incarcerated in our country that are falsely accused and wrongly convicted. Can you imagine the horror of that? I mean, you see stories like this every single day in the news cycle where you have people that have spent, people that have spent 25, maybe 20, 25, 30 years. Can you imagine being locked up in a tiny little cell? You're being told where to go, what to do, when to do it. You're sleeping on some thin little mattress. You're freezing cold in the wintertime. You're hot in the summertime. And you truly are mixed in with people that are probably guilty of horrible crimes, and you haven't done anything wrong. And no matter how much you scream, no matter how much you protest, you have to come to peace with it because that's your reality. And that's the beauty, I think, of modern forensics. Okay, because you can throw a supposition out there as a prosecutor or as an investigator and say, I think this guy did it. And you put all of your effort. And again, this goes to not being objective, and you can throw all of your power behind that and, kind of craft things so that somebody does in fact get convicted. You don't think about the damage that does to an individual. I mean, I don't know about you guys. It would drive me to utter madness. I see these people that will appear, after they have been vindicated, they've been released, and many times it's modern forensics DNA evidence that kind of sets them free. People like the Innocence Project that are just doing incredible work out there to free people that are wrongly convicted, and they have no business being in jail. And here's the tragedy. People will always ask me about this. I have students that ask me about this. Well, how much money did they get? What kind of settlement did they get? Relative to being, after it was discovered that they were wrongly accused and convicted. Okay. I don't know, maybe $1 million. I don't know. Maybe they got $500,000. But what, if you've been in jail for 20 years, how
you can't get that time back.
How are you going to recapture that time? Missed Christmases, Thanksgiving, seeing your kids graduate from high school, losing your marriage, losing your home, losing everything, so that you're at the rock bottom, dude. I mean, you have nothing. And how is somebody going to ever actually replace that? And there's really not a dollar amount. I know that there are people out there say, well, I'd stay in prison for I don't know, $10 million for 20 years. Really? You would do that? I've actually had people say that to me. And I'm thinking, how in the hell did you come up, how do you work that calculus in your brain?
Don't a lot of
because
confine yourself to that location.
Somehow this external thing has become more to us than the only thing that we naturally have here, which is time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't you think that
the most precious
people,
thing you possess?
Yeah.
People go to jail or wrongly convicted way more are people who don't have a lot of money. Because if you have money, you can get a good lawyer, and a lot of those people who aren't the perpetrators, they get off. Right? Even some of the people who did it get off. Yeah. The more money you have.
Yeah, and it's not just the high-powered attorney that you can afford. If you have those kind of monies, you're talking about expert witnesses.
Ooh.
I mean, and think about this. Just let this kind of seep into your groundwater a little bit here, and this will send a chill down your spine. You're accused of something, okay? And the state is following through with the case. They've got the evidence. They've worked the evidence. And for them, the state has at their disposal and it doesn't matter what state it is, they have at their disposal the state crime lab, which has sections and sections of forensic scientists that work there. You got DNA, you got hair fiber, you've got photography, you've got handwriting, you've got all of these people that are at the disposal of the prosecution. Oh, and by the way, if they don't have the answer, guess what? They get to kick it up to the FBI. Now they've got the full force of the law, and they've got those resources that state crime labs can't even begin to touch what the feds have. So you're one little person that's been convicted. How are you going to prove, or let's not even say you've made it to the conviction portion. You're at trial and you've got some public defender. Okay. God bless public defenders, but they don't have a lot of resources. You can't pay, if you've got an expert that literally makes $500 for an hour and the clock starts ticking when they leave their house. Imagine that. And then every time they pick up a phone, even if it's a 1 minute call, $500.
Wow.
Okay. So you do the math on that, and it's dependent upon the discipline they're in. How's some person that doesn't have those kind of means? How do you fight against that? How do you put forward a defense? And it's hard, man. It's really hard when you begin to think about it. And I can't imagine what it would be like to be one of these poor souls that is accused of something. And it's very complex from a scientific standpoint. How are you going to disprove it? How are you going to marshal a defense to convince the 12 people sitting in a box over there that, dude, I didn't do this. I didn't do it. But everything the state has is pointing directly at you, and particularly their primary witnesses, who are going to be, their detectives and all of their technicians and everybody else. It's impressive to a jury when you see that jury and they begin to say, well, tell us what your background is, doctor. Oh, well, I was educated at Harvard and I did postdoctoral residencies in this location, in that location. I have special training here. And everybody in the jury is sitting there listening to this person. And you can just think about the defendant who's been wrongly accused. They're just like melting in their chair and they're thinking, how in the hell do I bounce back from this? Jeez, it's a horrible position to be in.
That's horrifying.
On that note, thank you so much for being here.
I mean, in the funniest way, in the lighthearted way, we're doing it here. But that's so heavy to think about.
Yeah.
We love and appreciate you, Joseph Scott Morgan. You have brought so much into my life talking to you. I'm just so happy and excited. I hope everyone at home is too. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. And join us next week.
Thank you, guys.
See you next week,
bitches.